I made it 30 for 30 under the street lights. They told me everything they want, gave them what they like. I'm politicking with the plug for a better price. Only drama so my finger have a
Listen to my intro.
My guy, we got Wade in the building.
What's up, brother?
What's up, my guy? You know, for the community podcast, had to have you on here because, you know, even before you came in here, we did our last episode with Ronnie, and he was like, "Oh, you got Wade coming in here? That guy, he's for the community." So you know what, Wade is for the community. That's why we had to have him on the damn podcast. So, with this episode, I wanted to kind of talk about, you know, your career path and how you, the selection of jobs that you chose. Like, you're not, you know, we here in front of the camera now, but you could easily go right behind and be controlling all the stuff that my man Chris is controlling right now. So what took you in, because there's that, and then there's also the stuff that you do with the Brooklyn Nets. You're repping them hard with the hat on.
Yes, sir.
First, let's start with the photography thing. What drove you in that path, in that direction?
Man, all right, so for the photography, that kind of happened with work. So working with the Long Island Nets, which is our affiliate G League team of the Brooklyn Nets,
Gotcha.
Out and about in the community at our basketball camps or clinics, we normally, you know, myself and our marketing manager, we take pictures to, you know, help promote our clinics and our camps. So during our clinics, you know, we're catching live action shots of, you know,
on your phones or on
so
the actual cameras?
Yeah, we have an actual camera for work that we use just in case. Like, we don't always get the budget that Brooklyn gets on the Long Island Nets side. So sometimes, you know, we're pretty much jacks of all trades. Everyone is kind of learning many different roles. So one thing, you know, I just start taking pictures. And I'm like, oh, like, that's a cool shot of him, doing that layup. And obviously, you know, since I play basketball, I always think in the back of my mind, like, what would be a cool shot that I would want? You know, these little guys would think is like, oh, like, that's really cool, like me doing a layup at a Long Island Nets camp, or like, you know, me doing a cool crossover at a Long Island Nets camp. So I'm like, all right, like, you know, getting into it, and that's pretty much how it all came about.
So you started doing that. But when y'all had to do this stuff, did y'all have to bring the cameras home with y'all, or or when you started your own thing, did you, like, from the jump, you were like, I like doing this, so I'm gonna just go out and buy my camera so I can use it on my own?
So we do these monthly free basketball clinics on the Long Island Nets side. And it was a clinic in November, and it was actually at the Bayshore YMCA, where I used to work as well. Oh, wow. So I knew a lot of the kids that were attending the clinic, and you know, I was like, I definitely want to get cool shots of them. So after the clinic, you know, I'm going through the photos, and I was just like, wow, like, I have to get a camera. Like, Christmas is coming up. My parents keep asking me what I want. This is what it is. Yeah. So legit, next month was December. My parents ended up getting me a camera for Christmas. It was a T6. It was a Canon T6 T6i. I'm sorry, Canon T6i.
You were just going to, like, gatherings, functions that we all go to, parties, whatever the case may be, a little barbecue, and you just be walking around with a camera, as if you were paid to be doing it before you might have been actually doing that. So that's how it started. You just went to, like, local spots and was just like, you know, let me just take my camera with me.
Like, my mom worked in the city, so growing up, I would always, you know, sometime meet her out, you know, on her lunch break, and we'll go out to the city. So I was like, all right, like, I'm gonna go to the city, or Brooklyn as well too. Like, I went down to the.
We went to. This is when the Nets were still in
Jersey. Right.
Yeah. So we went to Jersey, and then we came back to the city before our train. Yep, that's what it was.
You are right. Wow. Yeah. That's wow. Wow. I definitely forgot about that. Wow. 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 Different, just things that just captured my eye, at least, that I thought was pretty cool. And I was like, all right, like, this is cool. Going over to the Dumbo area, taking pictures of the bridge and things like that. And I was like, all right, because I think, you know, the best experience is obviously, you know, learning your camera. Yeah. That's pretty much how I kind of like really like, you know, got into it and enjoyed it. And then I would share like the photos like with my group chats, like, yo, these are the cool shots I got today. And they're like, damn, you alright. Yeah. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, I would never think to like, you know, take a photo of that. I'm like, yeah, like it's, you know, it's cool. Like it's dope. So that became great. And then Quan, he coaches CYL football team. He would ask me to come down and take pictures and, you know, talking to the quarterback and like, you know, for next plays and stuff like that, tackles. Like it was cool capturing those moments, and like, you know, parents were legit like asking me at, you know, the event, like, oh, like, are you charging? And I'm like, no, not at all. Like, this is, you know, for my guy Quan, this is for the kids. Like,
it's pretty cool because my dad, kind of how he got into photography and videography is, you know, he doesn't do it full time, but at the time when I was playing CYL and playing like whether it be basketball, football, but mainly football, he would come to the games and video record all the games. And when parents see that, they like, yo, what's going on? Like, what you doing with this? And then he made a mixtape or a video of the season and, you know, gave it out to the parents. So that's dope, you know. Shouts out to Quan for throwing that alley. And I also want to touch on, so, yo, Newt, with your crew, Newt, Wade, Quan, I said Newt, Wade, Quan, Bryce, my guys, like, y'all give each other hell about certain things, you know what I'm saying? Always joking, always, you know. So how did they, you said you put it in a group chat, were you putting in a group chat with them, Jay Sean included, you know, did you put it in a group chat with them? And they were like, yo, these are dope, you know what I'm saying? Did they support it from day one? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, to be honest, obviously shout out to all my guys, Jay, Didi, Bryce, Newt, Quan. So yeah, to be honest, like I would send it to them, they'd be like, oh, like, those are solid, like you a real life photographer, like, you know, how you do that, or like, et cetera, you know, I would get the comments, but yes, it was all positive feedback from jump. And then I would also send it to, you know, some of my other female friends as well to kind of get their perspective, because obviously females love photos, and you know, I feel like sometimes they have the better eye for things, especially when it comes to taking photos, where it's like, oh, you should go a little bit lower on this angle, or oh, you should, you know, brighten up the shirt a little bit. So it's like, cool, I'm gonna take all this feedback, constructive criticism, and then, you know. Because
Didi, you're my friend as much as your friend as much as my friend, you're at these events and you wanna be a part of the action sometimes. Like, you got your friends there, Bryce, New, whoever, everybody's there, Jay Sean, and they're telling jokes, they're doing that, but at the same time, you're doing a job though. Like, how is that, like, how do you feel about like being at those events? Do you like being at those events and doing that? Do you rather not be? Like, how do you feel about that?
When you're the photographer at an event, it's like a little aggy, but like, you know, snap of the finger, you got to be on hand where it's like, all right, I need this picture, or like, hey, can you come take this picture of us? Like, once you feel like you got, you know, a fair amount of pictures or the things that were on the itinerary for, you know, the party or the event, then it's like, all right, cool, like, you know,
freelance, I'll still take pictures, but
exactly,
mingle a little more.
But for me, the most part, I would definitely, you know, kind of make eye contact with whoever, you know, the party is for, or whoever the event planner is, and it's like, you know, if they say like, yo, go, you know, go enjoy yourself, or like, you know, go get something to eat, then, you know, I'll make that transition to interact with others. But at the same time, while I'm taking photos, you know, I know how to, exactly, I'm conversing with everyone at the same time, like, oh, like, you know, like your shirt, like, oh. So yeah, that's kind of how I pretty much separate the two, for
and
sure.
I selfishly asked that question. I probably think about my wedding more than whoever I'm gonna marry. Like, I think about like that experience a lot. Yeah. And so, because you my guy, Chris is my guy. Because Chris is my guy, you my guy. It's like, I obviously want to give the work to my guys, you know, so saying, you know, if I'm gonna break bread, I want to break bread with my guys, but at the same time, I want y'all to actually be part of the wedding, you know what I'm saying? Like, be in this, so it's like, you know, it's a weird, so it's it's a weird space to be, but that's interesting to know. I probably won't take that route. Like, you just gotta be out there, you know what I'm saying? I just gotta, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be like, yo, nah, come on, you know what I'm saying? Come to the dance floor, come do whatever, you know what I'm saying? We not, so I probably have to hire an outside company for that.
This is the lens you need to get. These are kind of the angles you need to get. This is, et cetera for, or different equipment. And letting me borrow some of his equipment too.
Shout out to your little cousin.
Yeah, Jarrell. Shout outs to Jarrell, man.
A lot of these jobs, you don't have to go. You can go to school for them. You can go to school for and learn more the technical side and get more advanced in them quicker probably if you go to school. But you can also just buy a camera and tomorrow or the next week you could be shooting serious gigs, something that is gonna last a lifetime for somebody. So my uncle Poos, shout out to my uncle Poos. He has a friend named Eddie who we were just talking about yesterday, who worked with the Knicks for many years, right? Soon after high school, he got the job with the Knicks or at Madison Square Garden. I don't know how that works, but he got the job with them, and he's been there and since they were kids, so over 20 years or whatever the case may be. And so he made a living for himself, is living comfortably, and does whatever he needs to do. And obviously that job, one of the things that we talk about, that I like to talk about with getting jobs is the perks. It's not always about how much you're making in a job, but the perks. And I'm sure once you got that job, you had a million people hitting you up because of your perks. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, wait, I'm trying to hit a game, whatever the case may be. So how did you step into that? Like, how did you get into the Long Island Nets and the Brooklyn Nets? And were they the New Jersey Nets when you started?
No, they were not the New Jersey.
They were in Brooklyn already.
Yeah, they were in Brooklyn already. So, man, all right. So, obviously, growing up, you and I, Chris as well, we're big sports guys. And basketball, always been a passion. But
just the guy right here.
Listen, like, by 10th grade, I knew I wasn't going to Duke. So, so obviously, throughout high school, you kind of got to figure out, like, what's your next step going to be? Like, you really hear your parents say, like, all right, like, yes, I know you want to go to the NBA and pursue professional basketball, et cetera, but, like, what is your plan B? Like, my cousin was a big inspiration in regards to introducing me to the business side of basketball. So,
same cousin that?
No, so
different cousin.
My cousin, this is my cousin, my older cousin. Family ties. I know. Her and I always say this whenever we take pictures or working events together. We call it family business. Shout out to Chrisia. That's my cousin. We're 6 years apart. So, like, growing up, we didn't have, like, we were close, but, like, that 6 year age gap.
But so close y'all can be.
Exactly. So, like, and kind of I saw pretty much all the behind the scenes of, like, what it takes to run a basketball game. And I was just so amazed. I was just like, wow, like, this is really a big production, and, like, this is cool. Like, I'm on the court, players are close, like, everything I could have imagined. And I was just like, wow, like, this is dope. Like, and I remember I was, like, on her, like, yo, like, what I gotta do. Okay. And then, pretty much she's like, listen, like, we'll talk once you, graduate, we'll sit down and, I'll see what I can do. So pretty much in 2016, 2017, that season, I was able to, land a interview for a part-time position working under game presentations with the Brooklyn Nets. So game presentation is pretty much the show element of the game. So this podcast is for the community. I'm about to give you guys game on, the business side of basketball and all the different entities of basketball besides the product that's on the court, which is the players. Mm-hmm. So she introduced me to game presentation. That's the show element of the game. So everything, if you come to a basketball game, it's a show at the end of the day. Just like you go to your normal Broadway show, movie theaters, it's a show. So, right when you step foot in that arena, it's like, what is your experience? From music, like, do you want to walk into an arena where it's silence? Mm-hmm. No, you're at a basketball game. You want it to be vibey. You want to have a good time, bob your head a little bit, things of that nature. When you get to your seat and stuff, do you want to be greeted nicely by the ushers and if there's a hype team there, have one of them come up to you and give you a high five, then yes, most likely. So that enhances the experience. So you have your in-arena hosts, you have your PA announcer, you have your dance team, you have your hype team, you have your kids dance team. And all of this is put together through a script. So each timeout, something happens, and something has to, each timeout and each quarter break, halftime, we have slots for entertainment. So I was more so, working with Game Night Crew. Game Night Crew pretty much prepares contests, trivias, seat upgrades, rolling t-shirts for the t-shirt toss, handling any anthem singers that we have are performing an anthem, or if we have any halftime experiences, making sure they know what they're doing, queuing them up for sound check and things of that nature. So that was kind of my role for the first 2 years. So I was working part-time. I was working at the YMCA in Bayshore at the time as well. And then I also got a teaching job, a teacher assistant job at Sewanaka High School. So I was really kind of grinding it out and, working with Brooklyn as well. So that's kind of where it started. And then the main thing for me was wow, Game Prez is really cool. You're working with a whole bunch of talented individuals, creative minds as well too, because obviously, you have to put a script together to keep things fresh and keep fans engaged when they're at a game. So I was able to learn off rip of what it takes to really run, a game from a game presentation and show element standpoint. And I'm learning it from, one, my cousin that danced, and then also now is transitioned into the business side. I'm learning it from a gentleman that legit has been with the team for 25 years. So it's I'm really working with some great personnel that has the experience, that has the knowledge, that pretty much done seen everything throughout the NBA and entertainment. What worked, what doesn't work. So it was cool for those first 3 years that I was pretty much part-time. And then also that came with the opportunity was me meeting different personnel throughout games. So it's yes, I went to school for community. I was currently working at a YMCA, which is a community-based settings. Yes, I'm working with kids. So it's
for the community.
One, I wanted to meet the community relations manager. So I met the community relations manager, and it was hey, if you guys ever need part-time work or, things of that nature, I was putting myself out there. And he's we do clinics, we do, giveaways, and we do festivals and stuff like that, where we're just a presence in the community, and sometimes we need personnel to kind of represent us, hand out t-shirts, hand out rally towels. And this was kind of the era where, Nets didn't have the volume of, big superstars, big names. I came where, Jeremy Lin, Spencer Dinwiddie was making a name for himself. D'Angelo Russell was transitioning from, his Lakers stint to now trying to be a leader. It was really where, you were kind of a marketer while you're at these community events,
bringing the community, making sure that because we don't got no big names right now, we gotta make sure we fill up these seats.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So throughout my 2.5 years working part-time, I was meeting all the personnel that I wanted to pretty much meet and introduce myself to. And then in 2017, the 2017-2018 season, when the Long Island Nets were moving back to so for the 2017-2018 season, the Long Island Nets were moving to Nassau Coliseum, because the Nassau Coliseum was being
renovated. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was the Long Island Nets' new home. So once they came to Long Island, I was, the opportunity was brought to me where it was like, hey, like, we're looking to pretty much run out a full game press show just like Brooklyn does, but do it for, our Long Island market, but obviously, make it applicable to the Long Island market. So, and we don't have the big budget that Brooklyn has, but, we're still looking to, entertain fans and, put on a show. So they were like, we want you to be our lead floor manager for this opportunity. You're from Long Island, obviously I'm working with Brooklyn as well too. So it was kind of really just an easy transition where I was working with, both teams, learning from Brooklyn and learning from the lead floor managers in Brooklyn. And then, bringing that
experience.
Exactly. And bringing that style to Long Island where it's like, all right, this is the things we need to do. These are, the things we need to have in place. These are the props we need to have. And, this is where our home base should be for personnel before we go out on the floor. Just small things like that that really are behind the scenes that makes the show go super, super smooth. Yeah. That was for community relations coordinator and game presentations coordinator. So it was a combined role. Okay. For the Long Island Nets, a combined full-time role where you get one base salary, but you are the community relations coordinator and you're the game presentations coordinator. So it was kind of like it was a blessing for me because like I've been working with game presentations for these past 2.5 years. Okay. And then I have experience in community with working at the YMCA. Obviously, I studied, I went to school for leisure service management and recreation, so learning about community-based settings, learning about, how YMCAs run and nonprofits run their organizations. So yes, nonprofits and for-profit. So it was like perfect for me. And that's pretty much how I became full-time with the Long Island Nets and just with the company as a whole, because Long Island Nets are owned and operated by BSE Global. BSE Global is Brooklyn Sports Entertainment, and they own and operate the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Liberty, which is our WNBA team, the Long Island Nets, which is our G League affiliate team, and then our Nets 2K team. So we have, so we have a 2K team as well, and obviously that covers the esports and so BSE Global owns and operates those 4 properties, and it's been a pleasure to actually work with all 4 properties. So that's kind of how I really got started, got my journey. So but big shout outs to my cousin Christia for really teaching me the business and being a mentor as well. Especially a woman working in sports, a black woman at that, working in sports where, she's really made a name for herself and, she's a powerhouse for sure, especially in the entertainment realm.
Shout out to your cousin, man. All your cousins, man. Shout out. Was there ever a time where it felt like it was overwhelming or like, it was like, God damn, like, it's a lot.
Yeah, man. Yes, there. At times, I do feel super overwhelmed, especially since I'm wearing 2 hats. So it's like community relations and then game presentation. So it's like obviously on the community side, you want to have your team involved in the community as much as possible, especially since we're a G League team, right? We're out here on Long Island, very saturated market in regards to, and New York in general. Like we have so many other teams in markets to kind of compete with. Like right now we're in season, but you also have the NFL that's in season. You have the NBA that's in season.
Hockey.
You have hockey that's in season. Now you have lacrosse that is in season as well. Riptides play at Nassau Coliseum. So, and then also too, you're in Sorry, I know, Brooklyn all day, but it's still kind of a Knicks world.
For sure.
In New York.
For sure.
Behind our community programs. Like, a lot of the things we do are free. I'm overwhelming sometimes, especially since it's like, dang, like, I had this idea for community, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, I don't have the capacity sometimes to really, run it out the way. Yeah. I really want to run it out because it's like, all right, tomorrow we have a game. Or like, we have 3 games in 6 days where, you gotta make sure things get done on the game press side. And you're working with so many different individuals, from everyone up in the control room that pretty much runs the video boards that you would see when you come to a game. So it's the video board, lights, just the building personnel itself, making sure you have all the equipment you need from a game press standpoint. Like, if you need a stage, or if you need extra microphones for, anthem singer or a group that's performing during halftime, or if they have props that need to be, set up from a building standpoint, a building operation standpoint, making sure that's communicated with the building, the control room, and then it then trickles down to your actual personnel for entertainment. So it's like, communicating with your floor managers and saying, hey, like, this is what we got going on for this game. This is, where you guys need to be. This is the call time. This is, et cetera, et cetera. Letting our mascot know, like, hey, like, this is the skit that we're, thinking about putting together to fill this timeout set. Like, if you need, practice or anything throughout the week, we can set up a practice schedule to, perform X, Y, and Z. Also communicating with the DJ, like, hey, like, if we have a specific theme game, we just had our holiday game before Christmas. So it's like, hey, these are the instrumentals, we want to play throughout the game. These are the Christmas songs we want to play throughout,
And you're writing that, you're putting that all into play.
Yep, putting it all into play. So it's like, I have NBA League Pass, so I think the beauty of NBA League Pass is you get to watch what other teams do throughout the league as well. And also, going to Brooklyn games, like, you're really learning from your counterparts, where it's like, oh, that was pretty cool. Like, that contest was pretty cool. Or like, that song was pretty cool that they played to transition into this specific set. Like, I want to do that for Long Island Nets. Yeah. And, just make it applicable for, my staff, our market, and things of that nature. So, the main goal, people still, people got to get paid. So you have finances, you have sponsorship. Sponsorship is a huge element in regards to sports, because that's how a lot of teams make their money. When you come to an arena and you see on the LED boards, you see the McDonald's, you see Chick-fil-A, you see those cool sponsorship contests where it's like, Mega Millions, where you're shooting a half-court shot for $25,000. Like, that's all sponsorship. You have community. Obviously, kind of touch base on community, but community is pretty much, engaging those around you and your surroundings, and engaging the youth, and having those pillars where it's, if it's education, health and wellness, and community development, making sure everything you guys do as a mission ties into those pillars.
And as far as these people, the community aspect, let's be honest, we're trying to turn New York into a Nets town and not a Knicks town. You know what I'm saying? And I'm with y'all,
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I could go on and on. But just to like I said, to echo your question, there's so many different job opportunities besides the product that's on the court, which is the players. It's growing up, especially in the black community. Like, that's all we kind of see and visualize, where it's like, I just want to be an NBA player, or like, oh, I want to be a head coach, or like, I want to be, a sports broadcaster, because that's all we see. We don't know, like, the different job opportunities. So obviously we're here for the community, where I can,
break it down
and, see where people can see, like, the different job elements. Like, if you're a DJ, you can be a full-time DJ for a basketball team.
There it is, J-Head, my guy.
And to be honest too, that's another thing where I learned like DJing a party and DJing an NBA game.
You know, there's how much money that you make, which is a part of, you know, the glamour and the glitz or whatever, and why people choose the jobs that they choose. There's, but like I said before, there's different perks towards these things. And one of the perks that I was talking about with my uncle, about his friend, is that he was there for Reggie Miller doing the show. He was there for Michael Jordan scoring 55 after he came back. He was there for, you know, the double nickel game. He was there for, you know, those playoff runs with the Knicks. He was there for Melo and any records that he broke. Kobe breaking his records in the Garden. LeBron doing his thing in the Garden. Like, he was there for all of those memories.
That's cool.
And so, if you could name 3 of the top moments that you were there for in Barclays Center, and this could be not only the Brooklyn Nets, but you also, me and you connect on the Duke level. So you had Duke in there with a few of their championship runs and stuff like that. So what was something like, if you could name 3 of the top moments for you?
No, so Barclays Center hosts the ACC tournament.
The ACC tournament, that's what it is.
Not every year, so it's sometimes every other year, but they sometimes host the ACC tournament, and then sometimes they host the A10 tournament. So I want to say this was the 2017 it had to be 2017 when Jason Tatum was on Duke, and it was Jason Tatum, Grayson Allen, that team, and they played North Carolina. So that was with Theo Pinson. You had oh my God, what's the point guard? Joel Berry. It was that year. So the ACC tournament was at Barclays Center, and probably that Duke and North Carolina game, that was something special. Like, legit, like, we were hired from the ACC committee to, you know, run game presentations for that game. And we're all on a headset, you know, making sure, communicating, like, all right, this is what we're doing for this contest, et cetera, et cetera. But we legit could not hear each other because it was so loud the whole game. Like, from start to finish, and like the way both teams traveled with fans was insane. You have, you know, the 2 most powerhouse collegiate teams in NCAA history, pretty much. And from start to finish, it was just loud, rowdy. It was a close game, and I believe, it was a championship game. So to see Jason Tatum.
Boy, JT.
He only did 1 year at Duke, right?
Yeah,
so to see him, you know, really ball out and then, you know, cut down the net at the end, like that was a really cool moment, especially me growing up as a big basketball fan, big Duke fan. I was just like, wow, like this is amazing. So that's definitely one. Last season, well, this past playoffs, will probably be, it would probably be game 5 and game 7. I'm gonna put that at 1A and 1B. When KD dropped 50, this was second round of the playoffs versus Milwaukee. KD dropped 50. That was game 5. Like, just to see that in person. So that was a game where Steve Nash hugged KD at the end of the game, because the guy legit did everything Brooklyn needed, like legit everything. If you needed stops, he did it. If you needed a play to be happening, he did it. If you needed a bucket, of course he did that. So like, that was phenomenal to watch, because he's going to go down as definitely one of the greatest players in NBA history. So to watch him like put on a performance like that, like that was awesome. And then I'm gonna probably have to go game 7. Like, and also too, like, that was probably the loudest I've heard Barclays fan wise for a Brooklyn Nets game. Like, it was, you know, for the most part, Brooklyn Nets, like I said, you know, Knicks kind of run the town, but like, you know, we're slowly building our fan base.
And Kyrie, James Harden, KD, they kind of help a little bit.
Yeah, especially having, you know, Kyrie there for sure, since he's a hometown kid and fans love him and love his game, and you know, he's relatable, you know, on court for some of the, you know, the young athletes that are not 6'8" and 6'9" and super strong and stuff like that. He's one of those very, very skilled players where, you know, it's like, all right, if I really, really work at my game, like, you know, I can definitely, you know,
make a lane for myself, and it might be a nice lane like Kyrie.
Exactly. So that game, well, just that series alone, Kyrie actually got hurt that series, but even for the first round of the playoffs when they played Boston, +2, this is coming out of a COVID era where it was limited fans. Mm-hmm. So you finally get to pack out the arena, and like I remember that first game 1, like it was loud at Barclays, and I'm just looking around like, this is wild. Like this is a really cool moment to be at work, and it's like, damn, like this is dope. Like especially me as a basketball fan, like I'm watching the game in awe. I'm watching the crowd in awe. Like wow, like this is dope. But to go back to your question, Game 7 for sure. Like yes, Brooklyn lost, but like to see the performance Giannis did. Like I'm not a huge Giannis fan, and like I wasn't really sold on him, but I was sold on him after the performance he put on. You know, during that game, because he really he works hard too. Like he's a huge, like he's a competitor. So like. It was great to see him and KD go back and forth, and then if KD's foot is an inch behind that line, it's a different outcome, and I'm definitely going to say, you know, Nets advanced to the finals, you know, this past finals, but yeah. I think those are my top 3 moments for sure from a basketball standpoint. And working as well too, enjoying the moment and being present in those moments where it's like it can't get any better than this, where you watching arguably the best player in the world put on a show, 50 points, and then I think he had like, I don't know, maybe like 40, close to 40, or maybe, if not over 40 in Game 7, plus a remarkable shot that he hit to, you know, send the game into overtime. So like I'm just like, damn, like this is wild, like this is crazy. So yeah, those would definitely probably be my top 3 moments for sure.
Is there anything like that you would say to anybody looking to dive into any of those lanes?
Yeah, in sports in general, I'm not even gonna lie, like it's tough to get to get into sports. A lot of it is really about, you know, those personal connections and who you know, like. So like main thing, like, you know how they say, like, you know, network with people and talk to people, have conversations with people. Like that's at least from my experience, like it helped me for sure. Like, you know, I think for the most part I'm an extrovert, and like, you know, I definitely will put myself out there if need be. And, you know, in the situations and circumstances with me, like I've definitely, you know, benefited from, you know, just having conversations with people at games, like learning about what they do, how long have you been working with the company, et cetera, networking, reaching out to, taking that leap and reaching out to people as well too. Like, you know, I know, you know, people who at times are prideful, or you might think people are busy, or et cetera, but, you know, listen, like at the end of the day, like you gotta help yourself. So like if you want something, you know, you got to go out there or put yourself out there to, like, you know, really, you know, get it. And I think in this case, for me at least, that's definitely helped me. And I've met plenty of people that legit helped me or elevated me throughout, you know, this journey that I am on in working in sports, you know. So I had opportunities working with, you know, Brooklyn. But then was also, you know, during my part-time stint, was introduced to hockey and kind of worked in the game presentation realm of hockey. And like, that was pretty cool, but I was just like, basketball is my passion. So it's like, I want to stick with basketball. Just creating the relationships that I have with some people. I have friends now that, I've known for no more than 4 years, and I talk to them almost every day.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, and they're putting you on game with just different things. Like, if it's about life, it's about money, different opportunities, working with other sports and things of that nature. Like, I experienced my first soccer experience this year because one of my good friends works with NYCFC, which is the professional soccer team for New York soccer team for the MLS, Major League Soccer. And I was able, as a perk, I was able to attend a game, the Eastern Conference Championship game versus Philadelphia Union. And that was an all-time experience where it was just like, whoa, this is a different breed. Like, going to a soccer stadium with, screaming fans from start to finish. It was crazy, legit, just singing and beer being thrown. Like, it was nuts. And that's an all-time top experience and memory for me that I'm gonna always remember because, it was just something different from, experiencing a basketball game. So, but yeah, to kind of just go back to your question, I think it's really just putting yourself out there, and really utilizing the resources that you do have. And if you don't have them, ask about them. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course, man.
This was great. So anytime, I'm here.
I will, man. That's my guy. This is my guy. Like, if y'all don't know, man, this is my guy. It's like an older brother. It's like way trustworthy, always a stand-up guy. I'm happy to have you on here, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right, we done.
Dope.
Practice on my poker face. Say I love you, no answer, losing my faith and trust. Having attachments and hustle more than so dangerous. Get you caught in the mental game with your feelings fucked. Keeping the gangsters, cause niggas thinking they dangerous.